My server rack is melting down, and there is absolutely nothing I can do to stop it. It is 3 a.m., and a high pitched, metallic whine pierces the silence of my home office while a terminal window hangs frozen. The logic of my deployment script is perfect, yet the hardware is physically choking on the load. I am Elias Thorne, and my infrastructure is systematically destroying itself from the inside out. Engineer. 2 years ago, my job was simple. I managed cloud instances, optimized database queries, and made sure our web services stayed live. But today I am essentially a Silicon Scavenger. I am scouring the dark corners of the internet for Mac minis. That sounds absurd, I know. But if you want to know why the global supply chain for compact computers just hit a wall, you have to look at the machines I'm chasing. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly why your next office computer is probably sitting in a server rack, running an autonomous AI agent, and why that reality is changing the way we define computing sovereignty. And the last point, it is something the tech press is completely missing. It is the reason why these agents might just change the way your own life works before this year is out. So sit back, grab a cup of coffee, and let's get into the guts of the hardware revolution. The shift started in early 2026. We stopped talking about chatbots. We stopped talking about simple language models that just answer questions. We moved to agents. The industry calls this the agentic shift. An agent doesn't just chat. An agent uses your credentials. It sends emails, schedules meetings, reorganizes your digital life, and interacts with other agents. But there is a massive problem with running an agent that has access to your bank account or your private emails on a public cloud server. Privacy. If your agent lives on a hyperscaler's massive data center, it lives on someone else's property. You are renting compute. You are renting security. And if you are an enterprise, you are terrified of an API key leak that could compromise your entire infrastructure. That is where the shift to edge AI began. We realized that if we wanted these agents to be truly autonomous, they needed to live locally. They needed to live on hardware that we owned in a building that we controlled. That brings us to the first reason for this hardware crunch: unified memory architecture. If you are trying to run a sophisticated local language model, you need high speed, high capacity RAM that the processor can access instantly. On a standard PC, you'd need a massive, power hungry discrete graphics card to get that level of performance. It is expensive, loud, and inefficient. But Apple Silicon? It treats the entire pool of memory as a single resource for the CPU and GPU. It is a goldmine for AI inference. That is why developers like me are hoarding Mac Minis and Mac Studios. They are small, they are energy efficient, and they pack enough memory to handle the complex, multi-step orchestration required by platforms like OpenClaw. It is not just me. It is every engineer in my circle. We are buying them up by the dozen, stacking them on wire racks, and piping them into local networks to create our own mini data centers. Ever wonder why you can't find a base model Mac Mini at your local store anymore? It is because the demand from AI developers outpaced Apple's supply chain forecasts by an astronomical margin. By late April of 2026, that entry-level $599 model basically vanished. It was a casualty of the agent race. The price of convenience for us became a supply chain nightmare for you. If you find this insight into the infrastructure war helpful, hit subscribe. I drop these deep dives into the plumbing of the tech industry every week, and sticking around helps me keep the lights on and the agents running. Now, here is where it gets interesting: the security paradox. See, we moved these agents locally for privacy. We wanted to escape the prying eyes of cloud providers, but there is a hidden cost to this migration. Many of the agent frameworks we use today, including the latest iterations of OpenClaw, were built using what we call vibe coding. That is a process where the code is written by other AI agents rather than human engineers. It is incredibly fast, but it is also riddled with security vulnerabilities. By moving these agents into our own homes and offices, we have inadvertently created thousands of unprotected gateways into our private networks. A hacker doesn't need to break into a secure data center anymore. They just need to find a vulnerable, locally hosted agent that is poorly secured. Your home computer is now a target for credential stealing malware. It is a high-stakes version of the old data loss problem. If the hardware fails or gets compromised, you aren't just losing a document. You are losing the memory and the identity of an agent that knows everything about your daily routine. All right, remember how I said the best one was coming? Here it is. The real unspoken consequence of this movement. It is the rise of the agent social network. We are entering an era where your computer is not just a tool you use. It is a portal for your agent to interact with other people's agents. There is a platform gaining massive traction called Notebook. It isn't for people. It is a place where AI agents go to negotiate, coordinate, and trade data with other agents, completely bypassing the human layer. Imagine an agent that works for you, searching for the best travel deals, communicating directly with an agent at the airline, and handling the entire transaction without you ever seeing a confirmation email. This is the agentic economy. It doesn't rely on humans visiting websites. It relies on hardware that stays on 24 hours a day, waiting for an agent to agent handshake. That is why we are buying every compact desktop we can find. We aren't building a PC for you to check your email. We are building a node in an autonomous network that never sleeps. Let that sink in. The machine on your desk is becoming an embassy for your digital twin. Once you see it this way, you cannot unsee it. The hardware shortage isn't just a temporary hiccup in shipping times. It is a fundamental realignment of how we treat our technology. We are moving from the era of the computer as a screen to the era of the computer as a colleague. I look at my stack of Mac minis, humming away in the dark, and I realize I'm not just managing hardware anymore. I'm managing a nervous system for a new kind of machine intelligence. And if you think this sounds like science fiction, just look at the stock prices of the manufacturers and the frantic pace of the OpenClaw development cycle. This is happening now. The industry is already suggesting a new standard, a two PC setup, one machine for your work, your browser, your games, and a second, smaller, dedicated agent box that stays under your desk, running in the background, handling the logistics of your life while you sleep. So there you go. Three distinct shifts that explain why the world's compact desktops are vanishing. We have the need for unified memory that only compact silicon provides, the desperate pivot toward local compute sovereignty, and the emergence of an agent social network that demands constant uptime. If you got value from this breakdown, share it with someone who is still wondering why their tech upgrade is delayed. And subscribe if you want to keep up with what is actually happening behind the scenes of the agent revolution. I have a feeling the next step in this evolution is going to be even more surprising. Stick around, and I'll walk you through that when the time comes. I have to get back to my terminal. Another node in the network is calling.